As we get ready to call it a day on 2022, we thought this would be a good time to take a snapshot of where Oklahoma's economy is heading into the new year. We have team coverage of major projects nearing completion and successful businesses poised to grow in 2023. But we begin with Jason Doyle and the economic indicators that offer both promise and concern. Jason.
Rich, by most economic indicators, Oklahoma's economy is standing strong against inflationary pressures, but some numbers are starting to signal things could cool off next year.
There are a few credible signs that say that we need to be cautious going forward.
The Oklahoma State Treasurer's Office recently finished crunching the numbers for revenue coming into the state's coffers for the month of November. Those revenues continue to set records, and when compared to November of last year, revenues jumped significantly.
16.8% increase, almost 17%. By any measurement, that's great news. But we are starting to see things slow down in some key areas, and that's why we're putting up a little bit of a cautionary flag.
State Treasurer Randy McDaniel's cautionary warning comes because of a recent economic survey performed by Creighton University, taking a measure of business confidence in the economy. Oklahoma's business outlook rating was at 51.3 in October. In November, it dropped to 39.8. If the Creighton Business Outlook measure goes below 50, it means businesses believe they will need to cut back over the next 3 to 6 months.
It's been 2 years since we were below 50, so I think it is something we need to look at. That is just one source. We'll wait to see how it's coming out. We hope that we have a soft landing as we increase interest rates to try to offset any kind of inflationary pressure.
We're going to slow. The economy, the data shows that the economy is slow.
Steve Agee is the Dean Emeritus for Oklahoma City University's Minders School of Business and says despite inflationary pressures, Oklahoma's economy is performing well right now.
Oklahoma's doing very well. It's holding its own, basically. Our unemployment rate is low. We're looking at a 3.4% unemployment rate. That's up a little bit from September through to October. But that's still a very low unemployment rate. There's a lot of jobs available.
The latest figures from October show that Agee is right. Unemployment is fairly steady, and our state is doing well at keeping people working, with our unemployment rate staying below the national rate of 3.7%. But that is becoming an issue.
We estimate that in 2021, there was about 36,000 fewer people than there were jobs available, right? And so you had 36,000 jobs that went unfilled because we didn't have the labor force to participate in those jobs.
Chad Warmington is the president of the State Chamber of Oklahoma and says the shortage of workers has spread throughout the state's economy.
It cuts across, rural and urban. It cuts across, jobs that require a college degree to all the way to just, some basic level of skill and some training. So we've got a wide swath of the economy that's looking for people.
I think there's 2 jobs available for every person that's unemployed that's seeking employment. So there's opportunity there for employment.
Oklahoma's economy has 3 major economic drivers: oil and gas production, aerospace, and agriculture. Agee notes there is growth in other sectors like healthcare and biotechnology.
Healthcare is really becoming a booming industry in Oklahoma City. So but it's doing well, with the Oklahoma Medical Research Foundation and the different hospital organizations doing research and of course performing services. Very critical component of the Oklahoma infrastructure.
The Federal Reserve Bank this week increased the prime interest rate by 0.5%, further tightening the credit markets in the name of cooling off inflation.
We're seeing a little bit of a disruption in the housing market because of these higher interest rates. And as a result, but that's what it's designed to do. It's designed to suppress consumer demand in such a way that it brings down prices.
I think credit markets are tightening, and I think businesses are waiting to see, what the next couple of months look like.
The Fed rate increases seem to be having some impact on inflation, but State Treasurer McDaniel says other factors play a role.
There will be some things that are coming down as we see inflation is trying to be tamed by increasing the interest rates. We're seeing things like the Ukraine war with Russia and very other factors like in China with some of their COVID re-emerging, and then also seeing the supply chain problems we're having. And so you put all that together, there are still some things that we're concerned about, but the numbers still reflect a good, strong Oklahoma economy.
He notes for Oklahoma's oil and gas industry, revenues are coming off recent high marks.
We saw gross production tax under $160 million for the first time since April. So the news continues to be good, but there are some things that we're watching very closely.
While that signals a possible slowdown in the oil patch, it could be a boost for consumers.
It was tough for consumers as they go to the pump and you're seeing, record gas prices to fill up your tank, and it was being felt across the country and across the world. But as we see those taper back off, that starts to be a concern for our revenue picture in Oklahoma.
That slight slowing of revenue has Dean Agee asking the legislature to be cautious when considering tax cuts during the next legislative session.
For me, as an economist, I want to advise the state legislature, don't get too excited about cutting taxes and because we might not have this surplus forever. We won't forever.
As far as a possible recession next year for Oklahoma?
Well, that's a great question that we don't really have the answer to. The forecast for 2023 is a growth of about 1%. Now, that's not a high growth, but is a positive growth. So if we have any kind of positive growth quarter to quarter in 2023, we will not be in a recession by definition.
Chad Warmington with the state chamber would like to see the state create a workforce development czar to help coordinate efforts to bolster Oklahoma's workforce.